Welcome to the Bayou Bingo Fantasy Network, where you'll find everything fantasy football. From rankings, sleepers, breakouts, and everything in between, we've got you covered.
Ready? And here we go!
Every episode is one step closer to you winning a championship. If your goal is to win, you're in the right place. Here's your host, Troy Lofton, right here on the Bayou Bingo Fantasy Network.
Welcome to the NFL. Let's go! Let's go!
Y'all, welcome in, everybody. We have so much to talk about. Let me pop on the lights here. There's so much free agency that happened. So much. Hold on, let's see. I gotta make sure the volume on this background music is working real good. We got a show here. We got a show. Oh, I think I got it working now. Took me a minute. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Let me pause this. I got some things up. Hold on. All right, I had to pause some stuff on my thing here. But how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Guys, there is so much stuff that we have to get into. There was so much that happened in free agency today. And what I want to start doing is we need to get on here and we need to do more live streams on the channel to talk about things that are going on. That way you guys can best be suited for fantasy football this season. I think I need to do more live streams. I do a lot of long form content, but we've got to get into this free agency. So let me kind of break down some things for you guys. I'm going to show you guys as far as free agency goes. A lot of people have questions about when free agency happens. What time frames are we looking at? Did free agency start already? So I'm going to throw up here on here. Contract negotiations started today. Started around 12 p.m. Eastern time. And then the actual free agency signings itself start Wednesday, March 13th. They start around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's when the people who, there was a little bit of a window where you can actually talk to teams and to figure out, okay, do we want to work out some kind of deal? And they all officially happen on Wednesday. But I'm telling you guys, if y'all had either the Sleeper app or something like that, y'all seen the massive amount of people that were going all over the place. We're talking about big names. Now here, there was some linebackers and corners that got traded, and the offensive linemen, all that stuff. We kind of leave all that alone. Here on the Bayou Bingo Fantasy Network, what we want to do is we want to only talk about fantasy football relevant players, and then the other situations like the offensive linemen and things like that, that can all come later on down the line. That's totally fine. But as of right here, we have, I think, 15 or 16 people, something like that we're actually going to talk about today. Big things that's happened. Go over some depth charts. Pretty much see how things are shaping out. And let's just kind of get into it. The first person that we're actually going to talk about today is going to be T. Higgins, right? T. Higgins requested to be traded, right? The Bengals did place a franchise tag on him for $21.8 million, which is relevant to a one-year deal. After they did that, today they started trying to talk. They're too far apart on a deal. And what does this mean really for T. Higgins, right? T. Higgins in a good situation with the Bengals, with Joe Burrow throwing the football. But if he doesn't get a long-term deal with the team, whether it's with the Bengals or somebody else, he's risking injury. When people play on this franchise tag, a lot of people don't like playing on the actual franchise tag. It's too much of a risk. I think it's just way too much of a risk to have to go through, because if he gets hurt, his longevity it's in trouble, right? It's in trouble. So we got to make sure that we're keeping things on pace and kind of keeping it in retrospect, right? T. Higgins, yeah, $21 million, but he wants to secure his future, and I think being able to be traded to a different team, that can work out. Now, does he have the fear of being traded to somebody like a New England Patriot? They don't have a quarterback situation. They ended up trading their quarterback over to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now Mac Jones going to be a backup to Trevor Lawrence. What's really going to be the situation for T. Higgins? I mean, best case scenario, I mean, who do you think the Bengals are really going to trade him to? You think T. Higgins is going to the Chiefs? No, absolutely not. They're not going to send him over to an AFC contending type of team. They're not going to trade him to that situation, right? So who knows what's good for T. Higgins? There could be some good landing spots, some bad landing spots, but as of right now, we got to sit back, hold back, see what goes on, and see where T. Higgins ends up going. So the next thing I want to talk about here is going to be Michael Pittman Jr. He ended up with a 3-year, $75.1 million contract with $46 million guaranteed to stay there with the Colts. Really re-sign there. He's not Anthony Richardson now at the quarterback position. I think that's going to be an absolute phenomenal place for him. I think Anthony Richardson really needed Michael Pittman Jr. To be there, right? He needed to be the 1A wide receiver that Anthony Richardson can do. He couldn't go in with just Josh Downs being the 1A guy. He needed a big time, possession wide receiver. And that's what Michael Pittman can give you. So if we look at the depth chart here, right, you're looking at Anthony Richardson at that quarterback position. Sam Ehlinger is the backup quarterback. He's kind of fantasy football irrelevant. We have Jonathan Taylor back at the running back spot. As of right now, Zach Moss is a free agent. Just to kind of list on for you guys, all the depth charts that I'm going over today is the free agents are not on these lists, right? So I took all the free agents, whether they're restricted or unrestricted free agents, it doesn't matter. I went ahead and took them off the list so that they're not into the depth charts, right? But let's go back here and talk about, we have Jonathan Taylor, we've got Evan Hull, Tyler Goodson, and Xavier Scott. So Evan Hull, he was that rookie. Evan Hull could be in a situation that could get some backup rep, right? Especially if Jonathan Taylor goes down in injury. We saw what Zach Moss was able to do. I do expect maybe a late round running back or a veteran running back to come in here just to kind of play that backup role. Not really sure if Evan Hull is the guy to be there. So when we look back over here, Michael Pittman Jr., I put him in yellow here because he did sign that contract. Josh Downs, Alec Pierce. I really like the wide receivers. And then Jelani Woods at the tight end position, I think could be really good. 6'7", freak athlete, but he ends up being injured last year and really not be able to show what he could do. Let's talk about Anthony Richardson, freak athlete at quarterback. Jelani Woods, freak athlete at tight end. Michael Pittman, you got Josh Downs. I think this offense could be really explosive, not including Jonathan Taylor, who led the league in rushing just a few seasons ago. So I think that the Colts have something going. I think they need to build a lot more on defense. And as far as fantasy football goes, I think just making sure they're securing Michael Pittman in their roster, I think could mean great things for the Colts. I think they're on their way to fantasy football success, especially if Anthony Richardson can live up to the hype, what we all think he does. I'm very, very high on Anthony Richardson this year. Let's go ahead and move over to the next top here. We're going to talk about Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, right? So Baker Mayfield signs a 3-year, $100 million deal to come back to the Buccaneers, and Mike Evans obviously signed that 2-year, $52 million deal. They ended up inking Mike Evans first, ended up coming back, and he made his point known. He says, I want Baker Mayfield back into this building. He was able to give Mike Evans one of the best seasons possible. Let's look over the depth chart real quick, and we look over here at Baker Mayfield. We got him in the yellow. Kyle Trask is his backup. Rashad White did a great job, and Sean Tucker. Now we have to remember, Sean Tucker is the rookie that we had coming here. I think it was out of Syracuse. He was a highly touted. He was an undrafted rookie, but I think he's going to take over a lot of that the Chase Edmonds role, and they're not going to be back. I think Sean Tucker is going to be that secondary back, and he could be that complementary role and kind of show what he could do. Look out for Sean Tucker to be a kind of a sneaky play in fantasy football this year. So we were along here at the wide receivers. We're looking at Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Russell Gage. Trey Palmer, and these, Jarrett and Cephas Johnson, not somebody I really worried about. Cade Otton at the tight end position as well. So a lot of solid options here. We got to remember, even Russell Gage came over because Tom Brady brought him over. He wanted him specifically. Tom Brady, he went to town, right? So but overall, Baker Mayfield has quite a few weapons. There's 4 solid options for him to throw the football to. Rashad White came out throwing the football. I think he did very, very well. Overall, the Buccaneers needed to make this happen. I know they probably need to increase themselves a little bit on. Look, we got another sleeper notification here. No. That's just from fantasy football. I thought we had some more news breaking here. I wanted to break that out for you guys. I've got the sleeper app going all over the place. I want to make sure that I keep you guys up to date every single minute that I possibly can, right? But going back into the Buccaneers, I think they needed to make this happen, right? Baker Mayfield, he had one of his best seasons in the NFL there with the Buccaneers, and Mike Evans loves just Baker Mayfield chunking the ball down the field. I think Mike Evans could be a really good wide receiver for us in fantasy football. He's had 1,000 yards receiving every single year he's been in the NFL, so I think he can do it once again. he probably will try to end his career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield at the quarterback position. So let's move right along. We're going to a little bit more news that everybody kind of knows about. We're talking about Jerry Jeudy. Ended up pretty much getting traded for a 5th and 6th round pick with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. He was pretty much given away for free to the Browns. I think it's to the point to where Sean Payton is in here, and he's really just kind of cleaning house at this point, right? So he kind of getting rid of everybody, getting rid of Russell Wilson, getting rid of Jerry Jeudy, all these troublemakers that he had. He's like, look, I'm cleaning house. I'm wanting to kind of start over with the Denver Broncos, and that's what he's doing. So he pretty much gave Jerry Jeudy away for completely free, kind of revamping the offense. The Browns needed another wide receiver complement of Amari Cooper, and I think they find it here in Jerry Jeudy. So if we look right here, we see Deshaun Watson at the quarterback position, and we got to remember here, right? So Flacco came in and took over for Deshaun Watson, and man, did he show out. Joe Flacco absolutely showed out at the quarterback position. Kind of showed up Watson a little bit. They threw the bag at Deshaun Watson, gave him a boatload of money. And then when he went down, Joe Flacco stepped in and said, yo, I'm taking this team to his house. So looks like, let's go back at the depth chart. I want to talk about Nick Chubb here. If we see Nick Chubb, he should be coming back. Had that devastating knee injury. I think if he comes back stronger than ever, I think this team has a chance to make some noise. I mean, we're talking about Nick Chubb and Jerome Ford. Even Pierre Strong and John Kelly got 4 solid little running backs there. Joe Flacco is a free agent. So Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be the backup quarterback there. Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, David Bell. Nice, solid wide receivers. And we're talking about David Njoku at the tight end position. Now, David Njoku, guys, we got to remember, he kind of had a breakout season with Joe Flacco. Didn't play as well with Deshaun Watson. Watson really doesn't use the tight end position as well as Joe Flacco does. So do we see a regression? If you're playing a dynasty football, a question could be do you sell David Njoku right now while he's high? Because if Deshaun Watson don't come in and use David Njoku like Joe Flacco did, we possibly could see a decline in the numbers of David Njoku. So you could be looking at the highest possible value right now for David Njoku, and you could probably sell him as high as you'll probably ever do, as long as Deshaun Watson doesn't kind of use Njoku like he's supposed to be using. So it's just one of those things you want to think about, things you might want to kind of go back and forth as far as dynasty buy or sell. What do you want to do? Let's move it right along here to the first biggest piece of news in the signing. We're talking about Russell Wilson, right? Russell Wilson should be signing a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a 1-year, $39 million contract. And we have to remember, $38 million of the 39 is from the Denver Broncos. The Steelers are only in for $1 million. So I think that is absolutely fantastic. It's pretty much Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith. They had absolutely nothing to lose here. You're paying $1 million for a Super Bowl quarterback, right? An all-pro type of quarterback who can get the job done. $1 million? Hello? Excuse me? Yeah, the Steelers are really close to having a really solid team. They just need a quarterback. Really not been able to find anybody since Ben Roethlisberger left. They could be, Russell Wilson, people want to knock him a lot, but he actually had a solid season last season. He still got benched over because of his contract. So let's look at the depth chart a little bit and see what Russell Wilson really has to work with. We're looking at Russell Wilson. I put Kenny Pickett down at the secondary quarterback there. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, 2 solid running backs that they have for him. George Pickens, I put him as the number 1. I think he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver on this team. Deontay Johnson right now is on the trading block for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if the Steelers, I think the Steelers should keep Deontay Johnson. I think he's a good shifty wide receiver that they need to give Russell Wilson as much weapons as possible. George Pickens is kind of like Cortland Sutton, and they have Deontay Johnson's kind of like Jerry Jeudy. They found some success that way, and I think that's going to be really, really good. So we keep looking at the depth chart here. We're looking at Calvin Austin is going to be that 3rd wide receiver. I like the Marcus Callaway, Des Fitzpatrick, got some wide receivers there. I think they're going to probably add somebody in the draft. And don't forget about the tight end position, Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, that tight end out of Georgia. He's a big body tight end as well. So they got some tight end options, right? That's another option that they really didn't have in Denver. We had Greg Dulcich. He ended up doing okay. He ended up getting hurt. Albert Okwuegbunam, he didn't do anything. Yeah, Adam Troutman, he didn't do anything. So I think there's actually more weapons here for the Pittsburgh Steelers than there was in the Denver Broncos. I think the running game is better at the Pittsburgh, and I think the defense is better in Pittsburgh as well than he had with the Denver Broncos. So the situation in total is better for Russell Wilson now than what he had with the Denver Broncos. So I think he's in a situation that he is primed to succeed, and I think he has a good success here in 2024, and I think he gets a contract extension on top of all of that. So let's move it right along here. Talking about the next person here, we're talking about DeAndre Swift. He ends up signing with the Bears with a 3-year, $24.5 million contract with $15.3 million guaranteed. Now, he did a nice deal for himself by going over there and playing in Philadelphia. Now, he got a lot of his touchdowns vultured by Jalen Hurts, but I think this is going to be his team. Where they're moving on from Justin Fields, probably going to have Caleb Williams, the rookie quarterback. You got DJ Moore on the outside. Now we got DeAndre Swift at the running back position. I don't think Khalil Herbert's going to give him much of a run. Let's just look at the depth chart real quick. As of right now, I do have Justin Fields as the quarterback because he is the quarterback for the Bears as of right now. I do expect him to be traded. I do expect that Caleb Williams comes in here and he's going to be the starting quarterback, probably along with maybe a Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbor or something like that on the opposite side of DJ Moore. But if we look at the running back position, you have DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, and Travis Homer. Let's talk about Roschon Johnson here for a minute. What a huge disappointment for this guy's career. Coming out of Texas, I really liked Roschon Johnson. He played behind Bijan Robinson. I think he's got all the talent in the world. I just don't think the opportunity is there. When given the opportunity, he has shown some flashes to be a good running back in this league, but it's to the point right now where I just don't think that Roschon Johnson has a path to succeed with the Chicago Bears, especially with them adding DeAndre Swift on a 3-year deal. There's no way Roschon Johnson is going to supplant Swift as long as there's maybe not even an injury there, God forbid. So let's keep looking at right here. I think Khalil Herbert will be the kind of the scat back on the other side of DeAndre Swift. DJ Moore, Tyler Scott, Velus Jones Jr. Got to remember they lost Darnell Mooney in free agency, so it's going to be DJ Moore, and I know they're going to be drafting a highly touted wide receiver, most likely in the top 10, and then Cole Kmet at the tight end position. So there's pieces here. There's pieces here for them to be successful, and I think that DeAndre Swift is in a good situation. I think they have a good running team. I think that DeAndre Swift could be a good, solid fantasy asset. I think he will probably be slept on a little bit in fantasy drafts. So I think if you really need a running back, you can wait, grab DeAndre Swift. I think he's in a better situation now than what he was with in Philadelphia because he didn't get many of those goal line carries because that's what the tush push was about in Jalen Hurts. So I think overall that's kind of what you get out of DeAndre Swift. It is what it is at this point, but I do like his situation in Chicago. So let's move right along here. We're going to talk about Josh Jacobs. He's going to the Packers, and the Packers are also releasing Aaron Jones on top of that, so he will be signing over there. Josh Jacobs is kind of a mixed bag of what you're going to get with Josh Jacobs. You really don't know at this point, right? He led the league in rushing just a couple seasons ago. Last season, he had an okay season with the Raiders. So what are you going to get out of Josh Jacobs? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But going to a Packers team that can run the football, I do like the situation here for Josh Jacobs. I think Jordan Love finally gets him a running back that he could depend on. Aaron Jones kind of nicked up. He's a little bit older, a little longer in the tooth, and was dealt with injuries. A.J. Dillon probably no longer going to be there. Let's go ahead and look at the depth chart real quick, get a better view of what that's going to look like. The Jordan Love right here, Sean Clifford's going to be backing him up. Josh Jacobs should be the number one man there. Like I said, Emmanuel Wilson and Ellis Mayweather is the backups. Yo, Liz, how are you? Hit the like button. I'd really appreciate you. Thank you so much for popping in. We're just talking some free agent football right now, but I do appreciate you popping in, Liz. It's been a long time. I think I'm going to start getting some more live streams here on YouTube. I'm trying to get my watch hours up there, Liz, so I really do appreciate it. Like I said, hit the like button. I would really appreciate that. Going right back here at the depth chart, though, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dubes. Now, a lot of people have Christian Watson as the number one wide receiver for this football team, but I think Jaden Reed's really pushing himself to be that number one guy, right? So Christian Watson, yes, again, he is supposed to be the number one, but he just can't stay on the football field. He is injured way too often. Another wide receiver I do like, Dontavian Wicks. Bo Melton is all right. He was okay when given the opportunity as well. And then they have the dual threat there at the tight end position, Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. And I remember, I told you guys, I believe Tucker Kraft is a better tight end than Luke Musgrave. What happened when Musgrave got injured? Tucker Kraft came in that thing and he blew it up. It was no thing but a chicken wing. He was doing his thing, but they're all back healthy. They got the dual threat tight end position. They're starting to build things on this offensive team, and I think the Packers, they're getting young and they're getting good. And I think adding Josh Jacobs to the mix, they're getting younger at that running back position. They're getting out of they got rid of A.J. Dillon and they're getting rid of Aaron Jones. They're bringing in Josh Jacobs. I think it's going to be a phenomenal play for the Packers, I think for fantasy football, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. Let's move right along here. Talking about Tony Pollard. He's going to end up signing with the Titans on a 3-year, $24 million deal. Tony Pollard, he's a tale of two tapes, right? What are we getting from Tony Pollard? Is he the 1A guy or is he a compliment guy? Because when he was complimenting Ezekiel Elliott with the Cowboys, I think he was a much better running back. When Ezekiel Elliott went on his way to the Patriots, Tony Pollard was given the reins of the keys to the Cowboys backfield, and he just struggled. He struggled as the 1A type of guy. And I don't know what we're going to get out of Tennessee. Will Tajay Spears be the number one running back, or will Tony Pollard be the number one running back? We don't know. I think it'd be better if Tajay Spears was the bell cow back and then Tony Pollard kind of backed him up. Let's really look at the depth chart here, see what we're looking at. Will Levis is the quarterback there. Tannehill will be gone, so Malik Willis will be backing him up as of right now. Tony Pollard, we got him slotted in as the number one running back with Tajay Spears there, and Hassan Haskins. We got to look at the wide receiver position. You got DeAndre Hopkins and Treylon Burks, and then a bunch of throw up, right? Kyle Phillips, I think, is probably the best one out of the rest of this bunch here. And then we have Chigo Congo at the tight end position. So there's a couple pieces here, but let's just face it, the Titans, they're not competing right now. I wish they would just get rid of DeAndre Hopkins, let him go to a team that has an opportunity to win now. But it is what it is. I think DeAndre Hopkins is more about the money than anything, and I think he's not really worried about his legacy. Everybody knows how good of a wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is. He's not really willing to go to a team that's not going to make the playoffs. That's not really a big thing for him, I guess. Played for the Texans, then went for the Cardinals, and then he went to the Titans. So it's a bunch of teams that didn't do anything. So it is what it is. I would like to see a Texans reunion with DeAndre Hopkins. That would be nice. The new regime down there, Hopkins coming back to Houston over there with CJ Stroud. That would be sexy to see. So let's move it on to the next guy we're going to talk about here. It's going to be Gabe Davis, going to sign with the Jaguars, 3-year, $39 million contract. What are we getting from Gabe Davis, right? Are we getting a number one wide receiver type of guy? Are we getting somebody that's going to be the second fiddle to maybe Christian Kirk? With one person I don't have here on the depth chart. Let's look at that real quick. We don't have Calvin Ridley down here, if you can see. Calvin Ridley is currently a free agent. We don't know if he's going to come back to the Jaguars or not, but Trevor Lawrence here at the quarterback position. They did grab Mac Jones for a late round pick. Travis Etienne Jr., Tank Bigsby, the only two running backs they have currently on the roster. Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, Zay Jones, Parker Washington, Elijah Cook, and Seth Williams are the wide receivers on this roster right now. Like, again, I'm not talking about Calvin Ridley. And then we also have Evan Ingram sitting there at the tight end position. So Gabe Davis, what can he give you, right? He provided that boomer bust type of wide receiver for your football team. I think he can do the same thing here with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over there with the Buffalo Bills, they had the big arm of Josh Allen. I don't think Trevor Lawrence has an arm like Josh Allen. So don't look for those big, huge 60, 70-yard bombs, touchdowns that you're probably going to be getting from the Bills over here with the Jaguars. But I do think he's going to be a decent wide receiver. I think he's kind of going to be, if Calvin really doesn't come back, Gabe Davis will probably be the number one wide receiver, follow with Christian Kirk. But then again, before Calvin Ridley came back, Christian Kirk was a fine number one wide receiver. So we'll have to see. It might be like a 1A, 1B type of situation. So we'll have to see how it goes out. I think overall, Gabe Davis could be a sleeper in fantasy football. He's got the quarterback to give him the points. I think it could be a fine situation. We'll have to see how it goes. But let's go over to the next, and this is going to be probably one of the biggest news that we have today. We're talking about Kirk Cousins going to the Atlanta Falcons, 4-year, $180 million deal with $90 million guaranteed. There's an additional $10 million guaranteed in 2026, which gives them a total of $100 million guaranteed. And on top of all that, what else did he get? A $50 million signing bonus. Absolutely phenomenal. Look what Kirk Cousins is coming into. Matter of fact, let's just go to the depth chart. Let me show you what he's getting into here. So Kirk Cousins, you see him. I got Taylor Heineke. Could be Desmond Ridder, the number 2 quarterback. It really doesn't matter. They're both turds. Running back position, Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. Could be the season that Bijan Robinson becomes what we all thought he possibly could be. Teams aren't going to be able to stack the box against Bijan Robinson. This could be Bijan Robinson's season. Look at the wide receiver position. Drake London, I think he is going to be absolutely phenomenal for fantasy football. Don't really have anything else. A bunch of cock-a-doodle there at the wide receiver position. And then Kyle Pitts at the tight end position. But I want to talk about a wide receiver here. We're talking about Van Jefferson, right? Van Jefferson, currently a free agent, could be signing back with the Falcons, and I hope he does. Look at the situation around. If Arthur Smith was still there with the Falcons, I highly doubt that Van Jefferson would come back to the Falcons. But look at the head coach right now, Raheem Morris. He was the defensive coordinator for the Rams. Van Jefferson was at the Rams, got traded over there to the Falcons. What other kind of correlation do they have from the Rams? Well, the offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator is Zach Robinson. He used to be the assistant coach over there with the Rams. So now he's the offensive coordinator. So there's familiarity there with Van Jefferson. And Van Jefferson was actually he provided pretty good solid numbers while he was over there with the Rams. And he could be the number 2 wide receiver here for for Kirk Cousins. And just look at the situations on what's been happening, whether it's been Adam Thielen over there, whether it's been that rookie that came over there. It doesn't matter who was the number 2 fiddle over there. Kirk Cousins can find them. I think Drake London's going to have a phenomenal season, but somebody like Van Jefferson as a number 2 wide receiver, that could be awesome. That could be absolutely awesome. If he does re-sign back with the Falcons and they don't add like another premier type of wide receiver, I think Van Jefferson could be a huge sleeper for me in fantasy football. But overall, what do we get, right? The NFC South as a total, the division isn't like set in stone. What do we have? Derek Carr, we've got Baker Mayfield, and you got Bryce Young, right? They don't have a lot. I mean, I think Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in this division, and there's weapons all over the field. I think the Falcons just set themselves up for possibly a division title in the NFC South. Let's move right along here. Going to the next guy here. We're going to be talking about Saquon Barkley staying in his own division, going to the Philadelphia Eagles. He signs a 3-year, $37.7 million deal. Now, I want to talk to you guys about the correlation of what Saquon Barkley is going to do to this offense. I see a big thumbs down for Jalen Hurts, and I'm going to tell you why. You don't give a running back $37 million over 3 years if he's just going to be a decoy out there. They're going to run Saquon Barkley. They're going to run the football, and he's going to get goal line carries. Jason Kelce retired. You can pretty much kiss the tush push goodbye. I think Jason Kelce was the catalyst for the tush push. I think he changed a lot of plays at the offensive line of scrimmage to really help anchor that offensive line to give them the push they need. Now, will they still do it? Yeah, they're going to still do that. But I think not only the tush push being declined, and also adding a running back like Saquon Barkley, who's not just going to sit back and be like, yeah, go ahead, you guys do the tush push. I don't need to get no carries. I think that's wrong. I think he's going to hand the ball off, give the ball to Saquon Barkley quite a bit, let him make a lot of moves, and I think that you're going to see a decrease. It could he might even fall out of the top 5. Jalen Hurts might fall out of the top 5 just on the decrease of rushing touchdowns alone from Jalen Hurts. I think it's going to be a big more of a shell shock than what a lot of people are actually thinking. I think Saquon Barkley is going to get his touches. I think he's going to be a phenomenal running back for this Philadelphia Eagles team. I think that he's going to get 1,000 yards rushing. I think he's going to get a bunch of touchdowns and probably have the best season of his career with the Philadelphia Eagles. Miles Sanders did it. DeAndre Swift did it. And now it's going to be Saquon Barkley doing it. But the difference between Barkley and between Swift and Miles Sanders is Barkley is a premier running back, guys. He is a premier running back, and he's gonna dictate and say, look, I want the football. Right? He's not gonna sit there and just let Jalen Hurts run the football all the time. He's gonna open his mouth, and he's gonna want some of these touches. And I think they're gonna give it to him. And it's gonna decrease the amount of touchdowns overall that Jalen Hurts gets. It's gonna decrease the numbers that he gets. He's still gonna be a phenomenal fantasy quarterback, but I think he might be around like number 4, maybe even number 5. Who knows? Could be number 6, which would make him fall out of the top 5. You never know how that goes. But let's kind of go over the depth chart and kind of see what we're looking at, right? Jalen Hurts, Tanner Keys, the backup quarterback there. Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Gainwell still on the roster here. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Joseph Ngata, and Austin Walker. A bunch of cockadoodle at wide receiver except for A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And then Dallas Goedert at the tight end position. So if we look at the roster, right, just take a glance. Look at this depth chart. You mean to tell me Jalen Hurts is going to be the leading guy again? They lost a lot of depth at wide receiver. They're going to give the ball to Saquon Barkley quite a bit, and they're going to run the football quite a bit. And I think it's just going to hurt them. It could be a hot take. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Let's move on to the next guy here. We're talking about Devin Singletary. So as soon as the Giants got rid, or they couldn't sign Saquon Barkley, shortly after they ended up signing Devin Singletary to their football squad. Now, Devin Singletary was a great running back. Not only did he run for tons of yards in Buffalo, he went down Houston, ended up taking over for Dameon Pierce, and became the 1A running back there, and he was killing it. He was absolutely killing it. And I think he's going to bring that up there to the Giants. Nobody really taking over his situation. I mean, let's look at his depth chart, really. I mean, Daniel Jones is right now. He could be the quarterback. That could change. We don't know. And then Tommy DeVito. You never know what you get out of Tommy. So Devin Singletary is the 1A guy right now. Look behind him. Maybe Eric Gray. Gary Bright will not worry about him. And Corbin, I'm not worried about him. So Eric Gray possibly could be. He was the rookie out of Oklahoma last season. I do like Eric Gray quite a bit. I thought he was going to kind of move in and be that number 1A type of guy if they wasn't going to sign anybody. But Devin Singletary clearly is the number 1 running back there. There's nobody even going to be questioning that. Look at Jalen Hyatt. Should be the number 1 wide receiver there between him and Wanda Robinson. You got Darius Slayton there as well. And then again, a bunch of Kakaduda. I do expect them to do something in free agency. And then Darren Waller and Daniel Bellinger at the tight end position. Darren Waller kind of still contemplating over whether or not he should retire or not. So it just looks like the Giants are just a hot mess. It's frustrating to really see what they have become since Eli Manning has retired. But it is what it is at this point. Devin Singletary, 3-year, $16.5 million contract. I think he's going to do absolutely phenomenal for fantasy football reasons. I don't think that the team is going to do very good. But for fantasy football, you should see Devin Singletary on the field quite a bit. He can pass the ball. He could be a 3-down back, right? So I think Devin Singletary is a really good plan for you. So move right along to the next guy. We're talking about Gus Edwards signing with the Chargers on a 2-year deal, taking over there for Austin Eckler. Gus Edwards should really be the number 1 guy. And you kind of want to puke just kind of thinking about that. But, could he have some fantasy relevance? Yeah, he could have some fantasy relevance. He's actually a decent running back. I do plan on them adding somebody in the draft. I think they'll get one of these running backs. If we look at the depth chart here, you got Justin Herbert and Max Duggan. He's a quarterback that I like that at TCU. Then again, behind Herbert, really not going to have an opportunity. We look at Gus Edwards and Isaiah Spiller. Isaiah Spiller didn't really do much when he had the opportunity. And they're loaded at wide receiver. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Joshua Palmer, and Quentin Johnson. And they don't have that tight end position because Gerald Everett is now gone. So now it's Donald Parham as that tight end. I do have them getting Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia in the first round. So we'll see how this team shapes up. But even with Gus Edwards, right? This is going to secure for me how good Justin Herbert can actually be for fantasy football this season. I think they're going to throw the football all over the field. Gus Edwards isn't somebody who's going to be commanding 15 plus, carries a game, right? So it's going to be all Justin Herbert throwing the football. I think Justin Herbert's going to have a bounce back season. I think a lot of people got a bad taste in his mouth from what he did last season. I think Justin Herbert's going to be absolutely fine for what he gives you in fantasy football. They're loaded at the wide receiver position. I think they go in there and just sling the ball all over the field. And I think it's going to be a good thing. I think it's going to be a really good thing. Move right along here. We're talking about the next guy, Gardner Minshew, right? So Raiders are signing Gardner Minshew to a 2-year, $25 million contract. I think it's a good situation. They're going to go in there. He's going to compete, right, with Aiden O'Connell. We'll see what happens. I think Gardner Minshew will probably beat Aiden O'Connell. I think he's a good quarterback overall. Let's look at the depth chart here. Like I said, Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, they're going to be battling it out in the camp to see who's going to be the starting quarterback. I do expect Gardner Minshew to win out. Like I said, overall, he was really good. And he showed out when Anthony Richardson got hurt and he was a quarterback for the Colts. So Zamir White, he's going to be the main guy there at the running back position with Josh Jacobs going to the Packers. It's all going to be Zeus's show. And Zamir White showed that he could be a good, solid fantasy running back if given the opportunity. I love what I see out of him. He could be a nice fantasy sleeper for you as well. Not much behind him, though. Amir Abdullah, and Brown and McCormick. Wide receiver, you got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, Trey Tucker. You got some nice, decent wide receivers for him. Gardner Minshew can come in here and throw the ball all over the field. And Michael Mayer, the young tight end, I think he's going to be solid as well. We have to remember what we have with Michael Mayer now. He was a highly touted tight end coming out of college football. So Michael Mayer could be fantasy relevant, especially if Gardner Minshew comes in here. Aiden O'Connell did some okay things, but I think overall Aiden O'Connell didn't really flash in the pan to really say, hey, look, this guy could be a cornerstone quarterback for our football team. And that's why they went out there and got somebody like Gardner Minshew. I think this year they know they're probably not going to get a stellar quarterback. I'm thinking maybe like a Michael Penix they might be able to draft in either the second or third round. Get one of these guys later on down the line, maybe even J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix, or maybe even get somebody like a Jordan Travis or something like that to kind of really develop overall behind Gardner Minshew. Give Gardner Minshew maybe a couple years to be here and to develop another quarterback and then let another quarterback take it over, because I don't think Aiden O'Connell will be the answer. But I think if they do put Minshew at quarterback, you can still see fantasy relevance for Devontae Adams. I think he still has what it takes to be a nice fantasy relevant player as long as he got a quarterback good enough to throw him the football, and that will be Gardner Minshew. Let's go over one of our last guys we're going over today, and that's going to be Austin Eckler. Ends up signing with the Commanders. Oh man, what can we talk about Austin Eckler? Went from fantasy heaven, number one guy, beast mode, right? Fell all the way to the face of the earth. Now with the Washington Commanders, what can you do? They got Brian Robinson Jr. there. Does Austin Eckler take a backup role to Brian Robinson Jr., or does he take the role? We don't really know. Let's look at the depth chart here. We got Sam Howell right now as the quarterback. I do expect them to take somebody like a Jaden Daniels in the NFL draft, so I don't think Sam Howell will be the starting quarterback. But as of right now, Sam Howell is the starting quarterback. I got Austin Eckler as the number 1 running back there with Brian Robinson Jr. there and Chris Rodriguez. Wide receiver position, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Doxson, Diami Brown, and with some other garbage truck lord, garbage men, whatever you want to call them. In the tight end position, they end up getting Zach Ertz over there. I think Zach Ertz is going to be solid. I think he's going to be really, really solid. Cliff Kingsbury now is the coach over there, the offensive coordinator, and he played for Cliff Kingsbury when he was the head coach of the Cardinals. And Zach Ertz actually had a pretty good opportunity, to show out when he was over there with the Cardinals. So it's just one of those things that, you know, what you can get out of Austin Eckler. I called him last season. I told you guys, this is not the guy that you guys want on your fantasy football team. And sure enough, he ended up being complete caca doo-doo. Guys, this is kind of the free agent frenzy, right? We went over 15, 16 players in free agency. If you guys are just tuning in, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. Guys, are putting out so many videos each and every week to help you dominate your leagues. There's so much free agency news going over here. We're going to be doing probably another live stream, probably Wednesday, going over all the other free agency news that comes out. Thursday, I will be on a guest on the Fantasy Football Expo podcast. If you guys want to, I think we're going to be live over there. I'm going to be doing a show with them. And then we're going to be doing more of these live streams. I think it's going to be good to get out there and talk to you guys live to get y'all's reaction on things so we can go back and forth. And kind of just have a conversation about fantasy football. Guys, we've been streaming for over 40 minutes already. Like I said, we went over 15, 16 guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button and leave a comment down below. What do you guys think of all these moves? Which free agent moves so far are you guys most excited for? Leave it down in the comment below. I can't wait to see you guys on the next video. Let's go ahead and hit the hint screen. Again, hit that like button. See you guys next time.
Tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away. Trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away.